All right, so story time. How did we meet is where I'm gonna start. So I had just moved back from Baton Rouge 2 months prior to meeting my now husband. And I was coming off of a 5-year relationship. I was heartbroken. I thought this was the man that I was going to marry, that I was supposed to marry. He was coming out of a 10-year toxic relationship that he had been in, and like I said, I had been back for 2 months before I ever met him. One of my very best friends was celebrating her anniversary, and she invited me to come and eat and celebrate with them. I actually invited my ex to see if he wanted to come, and he told me no. Little did I know that they had invited my friend's husband's, one of his good friends, that he had seen the day of their anniversary, and he asked if he wanted to come celebrate with them. It'd be a good time. They knew that he had just ended a relationship that he had been in for a very long time. So they ran into him that day, and we celebrated our friend's anniversary, and basically the rest is history. From that moment on, I completely fell in love with him. He became one of my very best friends. There was just something about him that drew me to him. He was hilarious. He was a gentleman. Just his personality, very outgoing, just very, what's the word I'm looking for? He's very patient, very calm. And so we were together 24/7. There was a lot of talk about us, but you know, how can you really be best friends or friends with someone without anything else? But we were truly best friends. We did everything together. And at some point during the next year, let me kind of back this up. So I was drinking a lot when I met him, and I was going through a lot with myself. I had just moved back from Baton Rouge. My oldest brother was going through a very bad divorce. My dad was going through cancer. There's just a lot going on in my family, and I had reached a point in my life where I was just tired. So I drank 24/7. So when I met him, I was drinking. And that's how actually a lot of my story started. I know I share a lot about him and his addiction, but he met me in mine. And so the next several months, you know, he would talk to me when, I guess when I was a little more vulnerable, and he would ask me questions, and I said, if you always want to know the honest truth, ask me when I have been drinking. So one night, he told me that he loved me, and I just looked back at him, and I said, ask me when I'm drinking. He told me that he loved me, and I just told him, I think you know my answer. And I never said I loved you back. But there was a lot of things that were going on with him. You know, during this time, one of his good friends reached out to me, said that they were worried about him, that they think that he might be drinking again. And that's when my heart broke, and that's when I decided that I had to fight for him, because he had 19 years sobriety, and I wasn't going to see him give that up. So that's when I started my fight my fight for him. So in the middle of my addiction, he met me, and then I met him in the middle of his addiction. So we were there together. I wasn't 100% sure where he was. I knew that he had been drinking because I could smell it. Once he realized that we could smell the alcohol on his breath, he switched to other things. So the first year was me drinking, me trying to help him trying to help me. He would come and pick me up at bars, and it was just a lot going on in our lives. There was a lot more that was going on in his life that one day hopefully we can share. But there's some legal reasons we can't share everything right now. So when y'all ask for story time, we can give you the best story. I can share with you my story. There's still parts of my story I cannot share because of legal reasons. But nothing just crazy. But anyway, so that's how we met. We started off as best friends. He met me in my addiction, and then I stuck with him through his. And long story short, obviously we became more than best friends. I got pregnant the summer of 2007 and had our son in 2008. In 2008 is when my world was flipped upside down. But that's for another story. So that is how we met. And our friends introduced us, and we became best friends. And he always told me, remember that we were best friends before we were anything else. So that is how Mr. and Mrs. Ford Tough met.